In the DC universe, the Birds of Prey are back in Rebirth, but how did they meet this time? I mean, Batgirl's off running a bunch of businesses, Black Canary is a rock star, and Huntress, well, her background is all kinds of messed up, so let's just say super spy! This is Comicstorian's Complete Story Series, where we recap your favorite comic books for you in a rather dramatic manner. It allows us to put in music, voices, and sound effects. Today we're going to be covering Batgirl and the Birds of Prey 1 through 3. As Barbara Gordon and Dinah Lance chase after a woman in purple, Dinah thinks to herself that she misses when things were just simple, and Babs backed her up as Oracle. But now they're chasing after a woman who is trying to kill their only lead to a hacker that's going around on the web selling mob intel as Oracle. Up ahead, the car everyone is following swerves and crashes, and the masked woman takes aim with her crossbow to finish the job. Barbara quickly throws a batarang, knocking the woman off balance, shouting that they need that man alive, and the woman shouts back that she wants him dead. The three girls run up to the man's door and find that he is already dead with bite marks covering his entire body. Barbara asks how he could have been bitten to death, and Dinah adds that there aren't any animals around here, except for their purple friend here. The woman snaps back that her name is Huntress, and as she gets back on her bike, she tells them that they need to both stay away from her before she exposes both of them as Barbara Gordon and Dinah Lance. As she speeds away, Barbara panics, crying out that she must be Oracle. She knows who they are, so they have to follow her. Dinah pulls Barbara back, telling her that that really doesn't make any sense. Oracle is exchanging intel for mob money, so killing her clients really wouldn't make a good business decision. A short while later, back at the Watchtower hideout, Dinah asks who happened to text her earlier, and Barbara asks who does she think. She begins to read off the text stating that the early bird gets the worm, Barbara, and by bird, highest mob boss bidder. Barbara then shouts, "That's great, now 2 people know her secret identity." Dinah snatches the phone reading the message and says that she didn't think someone could misspell bird, but there it is. Barbara begins to go over the information that they have, stating that the man that they were chasing worked under the Casamento family, whose boss happens to be Santo Casamento. If by highest bidder, Oracle's referring to this guy, then they just need to get over to his place and find out what he knows. So the two of them do just that. They arrive at Santos Manor, where they find somebody else is already there. The girls run out back and they see Huntress already attempting to drown Santos in the bird fountain, and they shout for her to stop. Huntress calls back that they really don't know when to quit, do they? And Barbara tells her that until they get the information that they need out of him, they aren't going to quit. Huntress then lifts his head out of the water, telling them to go on. Tell them how he was paid to murder the Bertinelli family. Through his cough, Santos shouts that was almost 20 years ago, and Huntress pushes his head back underwater. Barbara grabs her grappling hook, firing it, catching it around the fountain, and pulls it down, allowing the water to drain. Huntress charges after Barbara, telling her that she's gonna regret that. But after Barbara manages to kick her in the stomach, she says that it's weird. Of all of the feelings that she has, regret isn't one of them. The two continue fighting, but through the struggle, Huntress manages to hit Barbara in the head with her crossbow. Dinah runs into the fight, but as she swings, Huntress spins back, grabbing her, stating, "Come on, big girls don't cry." Just then, Barbara kicks Huntress in the back, knocking her away. Huntress tumbles over to Santo, where she grabs him and tells them that the only reason that she is letting them live is because Grayson trusted them. Barbara says that she must be a spy that Dick worked with in Spiral. She knew that voice sounded familiar, but before anyone could argue any further, there's a loud hissing sound, and Santo says that sound is Fennis's snakes. A man then begins to walk up covered in hard snakeskin and says that they would much rather be called serpents, and as for him, Asp. As Asp walks over to Santo, the girls begin stomping and kicking the snakes away, but Barbara manages to throw out a batarang. It just bounces off of the hard snakeskin though. Asp says that they're going to need something a bit stronger. Dinah asks if he means something like this, and then she screams, launching him at his snakes. Huntress runs over to Santo, asking who's Fennis, but Santo tells her that he doesn't know. All he knows is that they recently moved here, and then mob bodies started piling up. Dinah says that it sounds like someone is trying to be the only mob boss in Gotham, and Barbara adds that they're looking for someone named Oracle who is offering intel on these families. Santo says that Oracle never told them that Fennis was also a client, and Huntress says that it looks like their interests are aligned. She is willing to call a truce if they can take down Fennis. Barbara shouts, "No way! She's not working with someone like her!" But as the two of them begin to argue about their methods, Dinah steps in, telling them both that it would be nice to have an extra set of fists. Barbara then extends her arm, saying, "Fine. We'll be a team for now," but she's calling someone for the interrogation. Huntress says fine, torture would be much easier though, so who does she plan on calling in for backup? And Barbara tells them the GCPD, there's a cop there that she can trust. Elsewhere in a warehouse, Fennis asks Asp, "Where's Santo?" and he explains that he ran into a metahuman who got there first. She then pulls out her phone and messages Oracle, stating that she's gonna need a bit more information, and money won't be an issue. A short while later, back on the streets, Dinah and Huntress follow along a few GCPD cop cars, and Santo asks how long is he going to be under arrest. Jim tells him that he's under police protection. Big difference. So at least try to sound grateful, and Santo tells him that he can tell that to his men. Dinah calls out that they can't let any of Santos' men witness where the location of the safe house is. And Huntress says no witnesses. Got it. And Dinah tells her that she should probably rephrase that. The two turn back around and begin taking out the thugs by driving back into them, and in Dinah's case, over them. But as one of the thugs rides up on a motorcycle, Barbara grabs a shotgun and opens up the door, firing at the thug's wheel. As Jim pulls away, Dinah stops and Huntress calls out that it's time for the big guns. Dinah hops on her bike and then screams, causing the remaining thugs to crash, but rather softly. When the two get back on their bikes, Huntress says that she held back, and Dinah tells her that they're not supposed to kill people, remember? A little while later, back at the GCPD safe house, Santo explains that all of his communication with Oracle was through email. He provided an account number, and the funds were dumped directly into that. Barbara says that that's something she can work with. She can trace back the IP to see where the emails are coming from. And Santo says that if Oracle finds out that they're sniffing around, he won't be safe anywhere. Dinah tells him that he should probably have thought about that before doing dirty deals with a hacker. Santo says that it's not some computer nerd that he's worried about, it's Fennis and her snakes. Huntress looks out the window and tells him that she'll take care of that, and this mob boss, Fennis. Barbara corrects her, stating that we will take care of that. Later, back at the watchtower, Barbara gets back to work tracing the IP address, and all of the leads begin to bounce off proxy servers. But while the search continues, a message pops up asking, how many birds does it take to track down an Oracle? A few seconds later, Oracle sends another message stating, 0, birds can't type, LOL. Dinah asks why would Oracle want to troll her at a time like this, and Barbara says that she really doesn't care, but thanks to that message, she can now pinpoint the IP from the message, which happens to be coming from a server farm down the street. Early the next morning, the three girls pull up to a compound, and Huntress says that she really doesn't like this. And Dinah says, yeah, it's 10 a.m. and there's no one here. Huntress then positions herself on the grass and tells Barbara and Dinah to go get their intel, and she'll keep watch from here. Dinah asks if she means by shooting them in the back or just in general, and Huntress tells them to hurry up before she changes her mind. As Barbara and Dinah make their way down there, Dinah mentions that they're probably going to have to start trusting her, but Barbara says that she's got to earn it, and they want to start by seeing if she shoots them in the back first. Barbara and Dinah make their way into the server room, and Barbara begins to extract data from a computer while Dinah looks around. But while looking at the rows of servers, Dinah says that this place is kind of creepy, and Barbara shouts back that she can't be afraid of technology. She's going to have to embrace it at some point. As they continue to talk, Dinah notices a bomb on one of the servers, and Barbara asks why did she stop talking. Dinah calls back that she'll find out in about 55 seconds. 49? 48? She hurries back over to Barbara, stating that she hates to bug her while she's working, and Barbara says that she knows. It'll just be another second. Just as the data is pulled, Barbara shouts that she got it, and Huntress runs in grabbing them, telling them that their time is up. As the explosion goes off, it throws all three girls out of the building, and Barbara laughs, telling her, you know, I trust you now. And Dinah says, yeah, her too. Huntress sighs, stating that that is a ringing endorsement, thanks. Meanwhile, back over at the GCPD safe house, Asp and his snakes walk up to the house telling Fennis that Oracle was right. They're moving in to get Santo now. A short while later, the girls head back over to the watchtower to review the data from the flash drive, and Dinah asks, what kind of name is Fennis anyway? While sitting over Barbara's shoulder, Huntress says that it's Italian for Phoenix, and Dinah says that is oddly fitting that they are up against a bird. Barbara asks Huntress why she doesn't just, sit down and relax, and Huntress shouts asking, who says she's not relaxed? But a few seconds later, she shrugs, stating, fine, and then she sits in a chair telling everyone that there, she's relaxed. As the data starts to come in, Barbara says that the file that was decrypted shows a restaurant reservation for tonight for one of the mob families. Huntress pokes in, saying that it's actually a pretty significant target. Take out most of a family at one time. As it gets closer to the reservation time, the girls pull up and Huntress asks how are they gonna do this exactly? Barbara jumps off her bike, jumping through the window, shouting, like so! The mob members begin pulling out their guns and the boss says no one interrupts Taco Tuesday. Barbara holds up her arms, telling the group that they all need to leave, they are in danger, and not from them. Huntress pulls out her crossbow at the men, stating, yet. And Dinah tells them that they can trust her on this. This one doesn't need another reason to kill them. Barbara then says that Fennis is coming, so they're gonna have to get out while they can cover them, but the boss sits, stating that Fennis is a boogeyman story spread by the cops. Take a good look because he isn't scared. But as they wait for the attack, Barbara begins to think that maybe there isn't one. Dinah starts to eat some chips and queso, telling her maybe they should just stick around then to make sure that everyone's okay. She pulls out her phone and after getting a text, she reads the words, safe house, safe house, and Hunter shouts that Oracle just sent them on a wild goose chase. Their target was at the safe house. Back over at the safe house, Jim Gordon checks in with the officers that are stationed there, and when he gets no answer, the door suddenly flies open as Asp and the other snakes charge in. Jim shouts to the other officers to get out of there and call for backup, but before he can move, Copperhead grabs him and squeezes, stating, "Yes, go call for help!" Before the officer can pass out, Dinah crashes through the window, kicking him away, and the rest of the girls jump in. Barbara shouts, "Backup is here. Sorry, they're a bit late though." Asp says that's a good thing because they call for backup as well. Suddenly, a sound of hissing fills the room as snakes slowly make their way in to surround everyone. Barbara jumps in the air, kicking Asp, telling him, "Too bad his backup doesn't have legs, huh?" Barbara then jumps back to Dinah, saying that the Oracle has ears here, and Dinah tells her that she can fix that. Dinah screams, scaring off the small snakes, and then also blows all of the lights out. Lady Viper wraps her tail around Santo, telling him to be quiet, and Cottonmouth unhinges his jaw and jumps after Jim. But before he can land, Huntress fires an arrow into his back. Barbara pulls out a flashlight asking if everyone's okay, and Huntress says that everyone is gone, including Santo. Barbara then shouts that that shot she fired was a kill shot. This isn't how they do things. She knew that she couldn't have trusted her. Huntress shouts back that if she was a cop, she would be thanking her. What was she supposed to do, let the cop die? Jim pushes Cottonmouth's body off of him, and he says that he, for one, is glad that she didn't. Huntress then waves everyone off, stating that she can do this better solo. And as she gets outside, Dinah runs up telling her that she can't leave yet. They were making a good team. Barbara runs out shortly, stating that she's sorry. She owes her for that, and she just couldn't say it in there. Huntress turns back, saying that she's gonna take a guess and say that she's keeping her identity a secret from her daddy too, huh? And Barbara tells her yes. Dinah then grabs Huntress, telling her, look, both her and Babs don't have family that they can talk to about this sort of stuff, so they have to make their own family, and there's room for more. Huntress grabs Dinah's wrist and pushes her back, saying that it sounds like they're used to being left behind, and then she hops on her bike and leaves. Back over at Fennis's warehouse, Fennis pulls the bag off of Santos' head and Santos just stares. He stutters, saying that he thought that she was dead, but Fennis tells him no. A phoenix never dies, it just rises from the ashes. And that concludes part 1 through 3 of Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. Will they come together as a team? Well, you're gonna have to subscribe to the channel to figure that one out. Personally, I'm liking this story more than the actual Batgirl story, just because I like Huntress and I like Black Canary and I like seeing them work together with Barbara. What do you guys think down below? Do you like this better than the Batgirl story, or do you like to see Batgirl working alone? Anyway, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.